Hello, my name is Brian Newsome. I serve as Dean of the John E. Sahlstrom Honors College at George College. This fall, I will be teaching an honors GC1Y on World War II. It's my favorite course, and I can't wait to have you in it. We'll begin this semester by looking at the aftermath of World War I, in a geopolitical sense, certainly, but also touching on issues of culture and society, particularly with trauma that emerged from World War I, which the German artist Otto Dix painted into this depiction of soldiers advancing under gas masks, scenes that he had witnessed on the front lines during World War I. We'll look then at the rise of totalitarian movements starting in the 1920s in countries like Italy with the origins of fascism, and moving on to a discussion of Nazism in Germany, Stalinism in the Soviet Union, and the evolution of militarism in Japan. We'll then examine the torturous path to war, starting actually here in Asia, with Japanese seizure of part of China, an area known as Manchuria, listed here as Manchukuo, in 1931, which paved the way for full-scale war between Japan and China starting in 1937. Many people think of World War II as having started in 1939 in Europe with Germany's invasion of Poland, or for the United States in December of 1941 with the bombing of Pearl Harbor. But in fact, the war as a global conflict began in Asia in the course of the 1930s. We'll then look naturally at the course of the war, including the nature of battlefield victories and defeats, such as here at Omaha Beach on D-Day. But we will look beyond battlefield victories and defeats to topical issues that have been of concern to scholars, such as collaboration in occupied countries like France, where a government called the Vichy regime, led by this man, Marshal Pétain, formerly a French hero of World War I, turned into a collaborator with the Germans. There was another side to that equation, of course, resistance movements led by people like Marc Bloch, whom you can see here. Also in France, also a veteran of World War I, but a man who chose a very different path than Marshal Pétain did during the Second World War. We'll look at the Holocaust, particularly through the eyes of this gentleman, Primo Levi, an Italian survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau, in whose factories he worked. And you can see one of those factories, synthetic rubber factory, right there in the lower left of your screen. We'll look at home front issues, certainly here in the United States, the way that those affected the lives of men, women of different backgrounds, including the African-American community, the Japanese community, and we'll look at home fronts in a global comparative perspective, Europe on the one hand and Asia on the other. Toward the end of the semester, we will, of course, examine the evolution of nuclear weapons, the American decision to utilize those against Japan, and the fallout of that in terms of the coming of the Cold War, which led, among other things, to the division of Germany, as you can see on the right, but also to a lot of day-to-day challenges that many ordinary people faced. Initially, for example, in the aftermath of World War II, millions upon millions of displaced persons who attempted, sometimes unsuccessfully, to find their way home. I can't wait to have you guys in the class this fall. It'll be an exciting time for me. I know it'll be an exciting time for you, and I look forward to seeing you then.